I purposely called this a seminar because I want it to be interactive. At least that's the goal. So interrupt me with questions as we go along. So I so it's part training, part question and answer. So I do have a PowerPoint that plan to make available, after this. And so let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, and as soon as I can get it into the slideshow, there we go. All right, so welcome. I am your district chief judge this year. I am so excited to be your chief judge. I just love speech contests. It's my favorite time of the year for Toastmasters, and there's just this energy and inspiration that I get from from attending speech contests, from participating, from listening to everyone who's participating. And I want to somehow share my enthusiasm for speech contests with you. So that is one of the reasons why we're having this seminar. And so today we're going to talk about the why of speech contests, types and benefits, preparation, the rules, resources, and I have a couple of videos that I'd like to show a few snippets of so that we can get a sense of speech contests in person, what they look like, and then question and answer. So I want to make sure that we have time for question and answer. So I will go quickly through areas that people might be more familiar with, and we'll spend more time on areas that are maybe different from prior years. So our objectives, I already mentioned it. I want you to be inspired to participate, as functionaries, as supporters of speech contests. And if anyone here happens not to be a district leader, encourage you to participate as a contestant. So we'll understand the types of speech contests and benefits, preparing, and know where the resources are located. So let's get started. Why have speech contests? So if you're a contestant, you will accelerate your growth like nothing else in Toastmasters. But regardless of whether you're a contestant or participating as a functionary, that you'll learn new skills. And if you're organizing the event, then you gain experience with organization, and we network, have fun, and yes, be inspired. All right, so the types of speech contests. So we have the five typical speech contests with international evaluation, humorous table topics, and tall tales. And then there is a video speech contest for clubs that are undistricted clubs. So the speech types that we have this year are international and evaluation. And everyone should have seen the schedule for our contests this year, but in case you did not, the club contest period is now until December 10th, and then area contests are from December 11th through February 10th, and then division contests February 11th through March 31st. So you may notice that we are specifically ending the division contests before April 1st so that we avoid the logistical nightmare and stress of people who, not people, of just the whole dues renewal period. So we're just avoiding that tricky time. And then the district contest, I don't think has been announced yet, but would be in April or May. Okay, so this year, the club contests can be in person or online, so whatever format the club chooses. The area, division, and district are in-person contests. All right, so now we'll move on to resources and talking about the kind of the nuts and bolts of speech contests. So the speech contest rule book, yes, is the ultimate resource for everything related to contests. But if you don't find what you're looking for, if you have some question, then you can direct questions to World Headquarters. And then also at the end of this presentation, I have my contact information. And so I'll provide that in a little while. So let's talk about eligibility. So to be a contestant, then the person needs to be a paid member in the particular area, division, district that you're competing in, and the club must be in good standing. And also the dues must have been, must be with World Headquarters as of the contest. And so you also need to maintain eligibility at all levels of contest. So if someone wins the club contest and wins the area contest, but then find out that maybe their dues hadn't been paid on time at the club level, then that person would need to be disqualified, even if they had quickly rectified it. So if at any point if when the person had competed they did not have their dues paid, then they would need to be disqualified. So also for international contestants, so I think this was a new, it was tweaked a little bit last year. This is the same as last year, where the person needs to have completed through levels 1 and 2 of any Pathways path, or have the Distinguished Toastmaster Award. And then there's also information in the rule book about what district positions make a person ineligible to compete. So we won't go into the detail now unless there are specific questions about that. Okay, so then we'll talk about the content of the speeches. The speech content must be original, and 25% or less can be quoted from other material or non-original material. And then also must not reference another contestant or a speech by another contestant at the same contest. And there's also a form that the contestants fill out to certify that their content is substantially original. And now a couple of odds and ends here. So the international speech contest, the speech is 5 to 7 minutes, and it can be any topic of the contestants choosing. The evaluation speech contest, the evaluation is 2 to 3 minutes, and it is an evaluation of the speech by the test speaker. And then all contestants speak from the same area designated by the contest chair. Okay, I see something in the chat. So let me pause just a moment and see what is in the chat here. Okay.
Can I answer you one question, Beth?
Yes.
Yes, I just want to let you know, okay? For the last slide, we had mentioned 5 to 7 minutes for international, 2 to 3 minutes. I don't know, for some reason you didn't see that. The other one was, even though it's just 5 to 7, you can speak up to 4.5, 30 seconds, or you can go up to 7.5. That's one thing, unless that has changed. So 4.5 to 7.5 for.
Oh, yes, that's correct. Right, for the international, so for the qualifying time is 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So if you speak less than that, you would be disqualified.
Exactly.
And on the other end, for the overtime, so once you hit 7 minutes 31 seconds, then you would be disqualified. Yes. And so
Thank you.
similarly for the evaluation, the timing is similar for that. Let's see, I was just going to look that up quickly. Okay, timing of the speeches. Right, so for the evaluation contest, if the speech is less than 1 minute 30 seconds or more than 3 minutes 30 seconds, then the contestant would be disqualified.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That's I just wanted to bring that up. So
Yes, thank you, Sugan.
okay.
All right. And so I forgot to give credit where it is due. So most of these slides were developed by Jen Simaluka. So I would like to extend a special thanks and recognition to Jen, who is a past district chief judge. So thank you, Jen. So I especially like this slide because in just one simple table, we can easily see how many functionaries you need at each level of contest. And so at the club level, excuse me, you can see that you have contest chair. You can have a contest toastmaster who is kind of like the master of ceremonies for the contest, but that's not required. The contest chair can do that. So chief judge, 5 judges, tie-breaking judge, 2 ballot counters, 2 timers, and then for the evaluation contest, you have a test speaker and a sergeant at arms. And so I'll note that in the rule book on page 11, there is a statement about the test speaker, recommending that, if possible, for the test speaker to not be from the club that the contest, so at all levels of the contest, that the test speaker not be a member of the same club as any contestant. And so that's interesting. So I will actually throw that out there as a question. So why do you think that is the recommendation?
So there's no bias.
Right. Okay. Right. So yeah, if one contestant has heard someone speak many times, then they may have an advantage, or who knows, maybe it would actually be a disadvantage compared to other contestants. So thank you, Scott. Okay, so the area division and district levels have similar numbers of functionaries. Just notice that the number of judges varies a little bit at the other levels. So
I have one question about the minimum in the division and the area. I mean, the district. We don't have 7 divisions or districts, or we don't have 7 divisions. So I mean,
right. So so I think your question was on both the area and the division, or just the
just the
at the
division and
division?
district.
Okay, right. So yeah, so you're trying to get, an equal number of voting judges, right, from each area, right? And the minimum is 7. So if a division only has 4 areas, then they could have 8 judges. So 2 judges from each area. So
Yeah, sure.
that's how you could meet the minimum of 7.
Okay. Okay. Does that include the
It
time?
is an or. So if you have 7 judges and if they're out of the district, that's okay too. It's an equal number from each division or a minimum of 7.
Okay.
It's not both.
That is right. Yep.
I have a question back about the test speaker. So if it's a test speaker for the evaluation contest, I'm not sure why I really understand why it's preferable to be from a different club. You're really evaluating the evaluations, not the speaker. Right?
So for the evaluation contestants, one contestant may have an advantage over others if they have heard the test speaker give a lot of speeches. So
okay, so
one-
that I understand that for the area and up, but I'm for the club itself. It most likely will be somebody from your club, right? In the club contest itself. And can the test speaker in the club use that as a pathway, one of their pathway speeches?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So they can use a project speech. Just when the test speaker is introduced, then the contest chair or contest Toastmaster is, you don't say what the project is whatsoever, just the person's name, the title and name.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so any other questions on this slide? All right.
And what roles can overlap for the club contest?
Oops. Oh, sorry about that. Let's see. Okay, so what roles can overlap?
Otherwise, there's so many people required. We don't have that many people in our club, I don't think.
Right. So I think I will ask Jen if she has some perspective on that question.
Yes, because as I look at this, I owe you an apology and an asterisk. Because on the club level, it is listed as the club contest, the contest chair, chief judge, at least 5 judges, a tie-breaking judge, 2 counters, and 2 timers are appointed unless impractical. And given the size of a club, that could well be impractical. So you can certainly double up on ballot counters and timers because their roles are performed at different times during the contest. If you do have a test speaker from another club, that frees up a club member to perform a contest role. And I think it's fun to hear speakers from other clubs. It would elevate the energy level of the contest a bit, I think, if you did have that. And do the best you can with judges. But you can certainly overlap on ballot counters and timers and get a test speaker from another club, and that frees up 3 people, if that helps. But I owe you an asterisk there in that column. So my apologies.
All right, so I'll also note that there was a suggestion in the chat about asking other clubs to help fill out roles as well. All right. So thank you for that, for that note, and I'll update the slides, before we post them.
Beth, I had one more question, please.
Okay.
I asked this question, but I just while everybody's here, I want to make sure. Question is this, okay? I manage 4 clubs, okay? That's not a problem. For local contest with our clubs, if only one person says, only led in a club, okay? In my club, for example, if only one person says, I'm going to compete and there's nobody else, could you please also could you tell me exactly, please, whether do we have to have a contest or you can pretty much say, this is a person who's competing for the to the next level. In other words, area contest. So in other words, we don't have to have a contest. We have only one person. Can you please just double check on that,
Yep.
please?
So that is correct. At the club level, so the club can decide not to hold a contest. The club can decide to nominate or designate a person to represent their club at the area level. However, if if the club has decided that they want to hold a contest and they do hold the contest, and they do need to follow the contest rules. So, but at the club level, you can nominate someone to represent your club.
Okay. And the only my other question I asked it a couple of weeks back when you had the meeting, but I just want to clarify this also. In other words, I manage 4 clubs. Okay. I think I know the thing, but I just for everybody else, I just want to bring it up. Okay. Let's say if you manage 4 clubs, you could have 2 contestants from your club, which can move on to the next round, which would be area contest. If you manage 5 clubs, that means you're only one person can compete at area level. So if you manage 4 clubs, that means 2 people from each club can move on to the next round. If you have 5, that means only 1. That's my understanding. Just also please confirm that, please.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And I see. So, and see, Patty has a hand up, but then also Betty Ann had put something messaged me. So
Oh, Patty.
Okay. All right. So Patty, go ahead.
What I wanted to say back to what Sugan was saying is clubs need to realize that there's really 2 speech contests going on. So if they have 2 people that want to do international, but one that wants to do evaluation, they could push the evaluation person along. They don't have to compete. And then the 2 international people would compete. So they can hold it as 2 separate contests. However, if they decide that the person doing the evaluation wants to compete, that's where they have to abide by the rules of especially with timing. If they get disqualified at the club for timing, even if there's only one person, they no longer can send someone in to replace. They've had the contest, that person is disqualified. Doesn't mean that now they can send Joe or somebody else. That contest was held. They have to abide by the rules. The person was disqualified. Nobody would move along.
They don't have to do that. They could just appoint. They don't have to run a contest.
That's exactly what I just said, Scott. But if they choose to do a contest,
Yeah,
and the person is disqualified, they can't now send somebody else along. And as far as it goes, Sugan, I'm going to ask you to table the information about how many people can go. The area directors, the list of areas that are involved that can send 2 contestants from a club. Check it out on the website. We have listed each area that falls into that category. So just check in the contests, the contest page, and it tells you if you're the area director for that area, then you can let your clubs know that they can send along 2 contestants. And that would be contestant 1 and contestant 2. Even if you're in a club like Sugan says, where he's in an area that has 4 and the clubs can send 2, you still have to do the area contest because you have to still rate them as who was contestant 1 and who was contestant 2. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patty. And now Betty Ann.
Well, and that's why I said let Patty go first, because she said it all. But also be very careful when there are clubs that have only one person for a contest, especially the international. If you call it a speech contest at the club level and not a speech practice for international, that contestant is obligated to meet the timeframes, and if they go 1 second over, they're disqualified. And that will be looked at and scrutinized very, very specifically. So please keep that in mind. All of what Patty said was what I was going to say. So thank you, Patty. And understand that again, don't call it a speech contest if you have one person in your club that is going to enter the international or the evaluation speech contest, and they're the only person. So as area directors, everybody and members pay special attention to what you are calling the practice speech if only one person is competing. So thank you, Patty. Good job.
Okay, thank you, Betty Ann.
And thank you, Beth.
Beth, can I ask you one more question, please? Just popped in my head. I just wanted to just ask you one more question.
Okay.
That this question is just for international. It's not relating to obviously for the other one. This is for international speeches. Let's say they are doing a speech. Okay, they're doing a speech, and people who are in the same clubs, they're very familiar with that particular speech, right? Let's say they do a speech. The local people, they know the speech. My question is this: just popped in my mind. I just want to make sure. Let's say they go on to the next round. Okay, can they use the same speech what they had in local contest, and can they use the same speech at the area level?
Okay,
That
so
is my question.
okay, so Sugan, are you asking if a contestant can use the same speech at
Yes, what
different
they
levels
use.
of the contest?
Well, yeah. Well, I didn't go to that far. What I mean was from the club level to area level, and probably if you want to say yes to the they win that using to the
Right.
division level.
Okay.
Are they
So
allowed?
yes,
Are they allowed to do that? That's my question.
yes, the contestant is allowed to. They can do the same speech or they can do different speeches. There's no requirement at levels until you get to the semifinals and world championship of public speaking. So at those two levels, those two speeches have to be different, substantially different, like completely different topics. They cannot be the same speech.
Okay, so that's what it is. They can use the same speech over and over again. Basically, goes all the way up to. That means goes all the way up to district level. Basically, that's what you're saying.
Right, and even up to the regional quarterfinals. So that because that's a video of the district speech contest or of
Okay.
the winning speech. Yep.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
but yeah, this thing just skipped in my head. I just wanted to just ask you before I forget. Thank you for that.
Yes. Thank you, Sugan. All right. So let's see. So I'd like to go back to something that Jeff Sobel put in the chat about the number of contestants from club to area to division, etc. So that has been communicated. So the deck did discuss it and decided on the number of contestants able to go from the one level to the other based on the number of areas or divisions. So, and that is communicated on the website. Okay. All right. And then let me see if there was another question in the chat. Okay. So I think that has been answered. Okay. All right. So let's continue on. Okay. So eligibility for judges. So at the club level, a judge just needs to be a paid member. So at the higher levels, area, division, and district, so there are additional requirements. So paid member for 6 months, has been a member of a club in good standing, completed 6 speech projects in the competent communication track, or have earned levels 1 and 2 in pathways. So it'd be for the in-person contest. So this is right. So this is at area, division, and district, which are in person. So the judges need to be in person as well. So, and then division and above, the judges cannot be member of the same club as any contestant. Okay, any questions about judges before I move on? Okay. All right, so you'll notice that I skipped over a few roles. So if there are questions on the contest chair role, the district chief judge role, we can circle back to those. But I wanted to highlight the sergeant at arms role because of the fact that we have the evaluation speech contest this time. And so the sergeant at arms role is a little bit larger than it sometimes is. So they will escort the speakers, from, so for the, so let me move this around a little bit so I can see the whole slide myself. All right, so for any speakers who have either requested to be, outside, so during the international contest, if any of the contestants have said they want to be outside the room until their time to speak, or during the evaluation contest, all of the contestants go out with the sergeant at arms outside the room and only come back in as it is time for them to speak. So the sergeant at arms handles both of those situations. And so for the evaluation contest, then they will oversee the 5-minute period while the evaluation speech contestants make their notes. And then the sergeant at arms takes all of their notes pages from them at the end of the 5 minutes and then hands back the note sheet to each contestant as they are being introduced. So as well as for any contest, the sergeant at arms secures the doors to the contest venue so that there are not interruptions while the contestant is speaking or during the judging. Okay. Yes, Katie.
I don't understand that statement about the evaluation notes. You're handing something to them when they're done speaking or when they're about to speak?
Okay, when they're about to speak. So let me go back a little further. So for the evaluation contest, there is a test speaker. And once the test speaker has finished speaking, then the sergeant at arms takes the contestants outside the room and they're given, note sheets so they can develop their, their speaking notes. At the end of the 5-minute period, then the sergeant at arms collects those sheets. And then as each contestant is introduced, the sergeant at arms gives the note sheet back to that contestant.
So that's so that contestant is referring to the evaluator, and they're handing them a sheet when they go away to do their evaluation, then they hand it back in and then they get it handed to them again.
Yes.
Okay.
If I can, Katie, basically what that means is it doesn't give the person, the last evaluator that's evaluating, it doesn't give them longer to look at their notes. After
Okay.
the 5 minutes, they have to turn all their notes in. They only get to see the notes once they go back in to give the evaluation. That way it's fair play for everybody.
Okay, so I see there is a question in the chat. So can evaluators take notes during the speech? So yeah, I feel like you must be able to, but so if someone has it right off, yeah, as you can see, I have the contest rules right here, but okay, so yes, so yes, they can make notes. I guess one clarification would be whether the the evaluation speech contestants actually get the sheet if they actually get the sheet before.
Yes, there's an official form that they use. And so they can take notes during the speech, but it can only be on that form. After their 5 minutes, they all turn their sheets to the sergeant at arms. Then when each evaluation contestant goes up to speak, they're given their own notes back.
Yes, thank you for that clarification, Jen. Okay. All right, just making a note for myself to make sure that the scripts have the right sequence there.
Yeah, and the PowerPoint's very clear. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we'll continue on unless there are any other questions here about the Sergeant at Arms role. Okay. All right, so, and there are also some rules to note for you. Okay, we've already discussed the first bullet. And so, so the club level is the only level at which contestants can be nominated. So at the area, division, district, and higher, then speech contests must be held even if there is only one contestant. Okay, and so, you know, we discussed the eligibility for contestants that they either have to have completed levels 1 and 2 in pathways or have earned the Distinguished Toastmaster award. So this third bullet, the traditional, you know, eligibility requirements only applies for judges. So you'll note when we were talking about judges, then they could have completed 6 speeches in the traditional, you know, in the competent communicator program. All right, and let's see. So as we mentioned earlier, you can go to the District 53 website and see which areas in which clubs can send more than one contestant, you know, so 2 contestants, and which areas can have the top 2 finishers move on to the division contest. Okay, and I do want to note that if there are any protests, and so protests are limited to eligibility, originality, and referencing another contestant. So if there's a protest, then it must be lodged prior to the contest being adjourned. So if someone tries to lodge a protest after the results are announced, it is not a protest. So it can only be protested before the results are announced. All right, so there are a lot of forms for a speech contest. So we already discussed the rule book. There are certificates. There's the certifications of eligibility for the speakers and the judges. There's a profile form for the speech contestant, the ballots, the tie-breaking ballot, and we also have the evaluation contestant notes sheets. And so you can find the forms in the kits. So we have the links to the international and the evaluation speech contests. And let's see. Okay, so we have the links there. And so for resources, so we have a link to Toastmasters International Home. And I don't know, I almost feel like I should have it as a favorite in my browser, but it's really easy to type in toastmasters.org. And then we also have resources on the District 53 website. Okay, so also, once the club has, either holds their contest and, has the results of their contest, or have decided to nominate someone to go to the area contest, then you need to, send that information to the area director as soon as possible. So just going back here. So the forms, so there is, yeah, actually I see we don't have one of the forms listed. So there's a notification of contest winner. So there's a form to fill out to state, the results of the speech contest. And that goes to the next level so that the person organizing that next level can contact the winner. And then if the winner is not available, then they have the information for the, the next place finisher. Okay. And so getting the results or the nomination to the area level as soon as possible helps the area director contest chair with organizing the speech contest. Okay. So more resources. So your area director is a resource, or I know there are some area directors on this call, so your division director is a resource. I am a resource for you. I have my contact information listed here. And I note that I would like to be available by phone all hours of the day, maybe, but I don't have my phone with me at work. So if you do leave me a message, I will get back to you in the evening, or on the weekend as applicable. So we also have one of our past district chief judges, Jen Simaluka. Thank you very much, Jen, for being willing to be a resource for the district. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there is World Headquarters as well. I don't know about you, but up until a few years ago, I was almost scared to contact World Headquarters. I don't know exactly why, but I can assure you that they are very friendly and will get you the answers that you need. So, if we haven't been able to answer your question, then World Headquarters, will most definitely be able to answer your question. Okay, and so Betty Ann has mentioned also that she is available for questions. Okay, and Betty Ann, I think, did you have something else that you wanted to say?
Just real quick, everyone is welcome to call Toastmasters International. They're 2 hours behind us. So if you bring their lunchtime, you're likely to get a voicemail. I know that some of you have been involved in the voicemail cesspool or swamp, as CEO Rex has commented about. But whenever you do call Toastmasters, they are your staff. You need to leave your name, hopefully your member number, and if it's a club related issue, your club number, District 53, and a best time to call you back, mentioning that you are on Eastern Standard Time with a phone number, because they don't have any tracking information. They get a lot of calls that will say, you have to call me right back, and they hang up the phone. So there's no real way to get back to somebody when they do that. So just be as nice as they will be. They are helpful. They will get back to you with this, and they're there for you. But you also have your chief judge. You've got past district chief judge Jen Simaluka, and the same thing with emails to speech contests. You can't just send a message to speech contest at Toastmasters and say, I want to know about this, and then not sign it or give them information on how to get back to you. So the clearer you do that, it's really, really better for you. So thank you, Beth.
All right, thank you, Betty Ann. All right, so let's continue on. Oh, and actually, I think there was a question in the chat. So
No, just fun and games. Oh, there is a question above, yeah.
yeah.
Someone asked a question about it, see?
Okay, so the question was, are there links to the forms collected anywhere? So if you go to the District 53 website and also Toastmasters International, then you can download the speech contest kits, and those have all of the forms in them, as well as the certificates. So everything you need for the speech contest. Okay. All right, so now I have some contest videos. So I'd like to share some snippets because I mean we did do some in-person or hybrid contests last year, but I want to share some video, a little bit of video from in-person contests. So just to remind us, what it's like to have in-person contests. So let's see, I need to stop that sharing and then share my others screen here. Okay. Just bear with me for just a moment. Okay. And is everyone seeing what looks like a video? I think so.
Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm going to do a call to action that tags onto Donna's. Do you remember the first time you walked into Toastmasters being a little nervous, a little unsure? My first Toastmasters, I actually arrived a few minutes late so I could leave without going in because I couldn't be late. So today, please make a point, not just one, find 3 people.
Okay, so I am going to skip ahead a little bit. Here we go. Okay, so this is
categories like problem solving and memory. The irony is that you peak quickly. It's not so much about attaining your peak performance as it is realizing the ceiling of your potential is a lot lower than you had thought. Oh, whoops. You just bumped your head on the...
All right, so this is a lot different from giving speeches in the little screen. All right, so I have one more to share with you. And let's see if I can get there. It's a long way in this video. And actually, so I think what I will do is okay. All right, we did find it.
How can you challenge these audience members who maybe never participated to participate? Like, what do you get out of it? What does it feel like to be on stage?
Give it a try. It starts small. You participate in the contest at your club level, and then you move on to the area level, if you do. And it just gets a little more intense each time, but you're eased into it. So why not give it a try at the club level? It's just like going out and giving a speech like you would in Pathways. And even if you don't advance to the next level, it's still a great experience. And
all right, so I'll point out that they're giving every contestant the opportunity to answer some questions. And you can see that they have their certificates of participation have already been given to them. So I just wanted to share that. And in the interest of time, I won't share the other link that I have. But let me go back to the PowerPoint presentation here. All right. So I do have actually 3 links to videos. And so the one that we were watching was the District 3 International Speech Contest. But I also have an evaluation speech contest link for you, so you can see the transition between the the test speaker and then each of the evaluators. So, and then I have a link also to another evaluation speech contest, and these were specifically the top 3 for that particular contest. Okay. All right. And so let me move on here. Are there any questions that have not been addressed yet?
If quick question, if you have not met your pathways requirement at the time of the club level, but you say meet it in time for the next contest, if you move up, is that legit, or would you have to have everything right off the bat?
Okay, so you have to maintain eligibility at all levels of the contest. So if for the club contest you have not met the requirement for international, then you would not be eligible.
Okay. And then judges too, they have to have filled the 2 pathways, completed the 2 pathways and all that, every judge?
Right, the judges, or they can have completed if they were in Toastmasters before the rollout of the Pathways program, then they can have completed 6 speeches, from that time.
And if you don't have enough judges in your club that qualify, do you just go to maybe another club, like try and recruit somebody from another club, or what do you typically do?
Right, that is a good question. Let's see, I will call on Jen. Is Jen, actually, I think she had gotten dropped off the
Got
call.
booted. I got
Yeah.
booted, but I'm back. So
Okay, welcome back, Jen.
That's very odd. That hasn't happened since the early days of Zoom contest meetings. You can certainly reach out to other clubs for assistance. You can certainly do that. I'm just going to see, flipping through the rule book here.
Because you need 6, right? You need a chief and 5.
Mhm.
6
Yes,
people
but
that have
there's
completed 2 levels of pathways. That seems like a tall ask.
yes,
that are not
but there's
contestants,
the there
But
you
that's
have
not at the
the
club level, right? That level 1 and 2 stuff.
right. That's I'm just going to the eligibility because we have the less impractical clause for the number of participants, and I'm scrolling for eligibility for judges at the club
Okay.
level.
Yes, yeah, I see it. Actually, it's on page 7. To be a chief judge, voting judge, or tie-breaking judge at the club contest, be a paid member. So yes, that's a good clarification. So thank you very much for asking that question.
But a pro tip, guys, download the rule book to a PDF that you can search because it makes it a whole lot easier sometimes than flipping the hard copy.
It's pretty long. So
So
you just have to be a paid member. You don't have to have completed those requirements.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
All right,
page 7, D1.
Gotcha.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much for the clarification. So we are at 8 o'clock. So I think only advertised that this would be from 7 to 8 o'clock. So I understand if people need to drop off the call. I do see that there is another question. So Katie, go ahead.
Thank you. What is the amount of follow-up after a contest? Is there somewhere that you need to submit all of the forms? Like what amount of stuff actually needs to be preserved and submitted? Or is it just like, okay, the contest happens and we know who's moving on?
Right. So the contest chair sends the results. So there's a results form. Sends the notification to the notification form to the next level. So from the club to the area to the division, etc. So that form definitely needs to be, continue on. So other forms like the, ballot counting form, the, judges forms that they fill out, those items need to be, discreetly disposed of, after the contest. And, any, so any other, forms you don't, like the contestant profile form, you don't need to keep that. So that can be helpful to pass it along to the next level, but the contest chair at the next level will still probably have the contestants fill out a new form anyway. So, okay, does that answer your question, Katie?
Yeah, okay, so there's not like a section of toastmasters.com where you're supposed to file it.
No, no, that's correct. Okay. All
Beth,
right. Yes.
I just had just one question just popped in my head. At the club level I'm talking. Let's say I'm just for curiosity purposes, I'm just asking a question. Let's say for the contest, right? There are only about 6 people or 7 people, so we need more people. And I happen to have a guest. Okay. They are, let's say, for example, they are part of 53, but they just joined. Let's say I need some help, either to be a timer or ballet counter, stuff like that. Since these guys are pretty new, can we request them, not the major roles, just to be like a timer or someone like that? Can you ask someone to help you out for the club level contest, or the rules like where it says we need to have they need to be a member for 6 months and all that? Is that apply? Let's say for example, a gentleman or some person just joined, spent 2 weeks or just a month old. Okay, he has joined, and obviously you're short of members. But I know at that point, if I'm the one organizing it, instead of not having it all, can I use the person who's relatively new to assist you in having a small role, like not judging, but either a timer or ballet counter or anything of that sort? Can you do that?
Yes.
You can. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's all. Or do I, in other words, that if they are member, let's say if they are not a member, they just happen to be there. Okay, a friend or someone. Sometimes we have it, right? Someone comes in out of nowhere. They just coming in for that particular week when we are having a contest. Can you do that? Absolutely not.
Right. No, the functionaries do need to be members. They do need to be Toastmasters. Yep, members. Okay.
But the 6 months rule does not apply. If you really need some help, we can ask, as long as they paid, and let's say they're a month old, they can help us with the smaller roles. He or she can help. That's the bottom line.
Right. Yeah. At the club. Yeah. The club level, there's no requirement for how long they've been a member.
Okay. That's all. I cannot bring someone out of the out of nowhere, just coming from meeting. I can't ask that person to help us. That's not possible. As long as the person is already part of some member of whatever club it is, then it's eligible. Okay. That's all I wanted to check. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sugan. Okay. All right. So let's see. Let's quickly
One more
wrap up.
question.
Patty had a
Oh.
question.
Okay, go ahead.
I know we ran into this last year, and I just want to let the area directors know, if you are going out to other clubs and soliciting help, you cannot solicit someone who's competing. So last time we had people who were competing in the international, went to other clubs as they went as timers. You cannot do that. If they're competing in their own club, whether or not the contest has occurred, if the contest has occurred and they didn't make it through, then yes, they can. But if their contest hasn't occurred, they cannot go to another club or to another area and assist. If they have said that they are going to be a contestant.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much, Patty, for that clarification.
Yep, and I wanted to add real quick, Beth, and I know we're short on time. Every one of the functionaries and everybody has to complete forms, the judges and so forth. So we're just going to use our core values: integrity, excellence, service to the member, and respect for the individual. There's no skirting around any of these issues. We know that the club aspect is a little more casual with regard to area, division, and district, but please, it's all of us on the trio can be contacted. All of us have member lists. All of us have pathway levels of completion. If there's any questions or you can't find it, reach out to us. All of us. We are here for you to help and make it work. Thank you, Beth.
And one thing is, I'm Scott, and when I've ran contests in the past, we could have one person judge in one area, but then if they weren't competing in the other contest. But you're saying if you're doing the international contest and someone's on the valuation, but they're not competing in it, can they do it if they're competing in the other? Can they take on a role like a judge or something?
Are you asking, can they judge international if they're part of the evaluation contest?
Yeah, yeah.
I believe the answer
They're
to that
separate
is yes, but
contests.
Jen?
Yeah, they're
Yes?
separate contests.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
just one thing. That's all our questions. I just really want to thank Betty Ann for sending the information. Patty, no doubt about what you do. Beth for helping today. Jeff Sobel is my friend. Always I'm keep in touch with Sobel. Thank you so much for helping. And Jen Simulika, thank you so much. You have helped me in the past. And also Norm. He's not here today, but I'm part of one of his clubs. He is it's like a walking machine. Every time I ask question. So I just wanted to thank before we close. And rest of them, all my friends, thank you. But the people I mentioned here, and obviously he's in India right now. This is a problem. I don't seem to remember the gentleman. You guys know the gentleman who just went to India. Mohan. Yeah, he was also a couple of years back. He was. I used to be a director, and he managed us. So I just want to thank everyone. My heartfelt.
Thank you, Sugan.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Let's turn it
Yeah,
back to
that's
Beth.
All
That's
right.
excellent.
Thank you,
He's our
Sugan.
CGD. Yeah. Thanks, Sugan.
Yes. All right. So we covered a lot of ground today. We covered all aspects of speech contests, pointed you to where the resources are. And most of all, I hope that I have inspired you and somehow shared even just the tiniest bit of how much I love speech contests. So again, if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to me, and let's go out and not only be inspired, but inspire others. Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone.
Beth, thank you. It's fabulous. I love the enthusiasm.
Thank you. It's awesome.
You guys are going to kill it. You're going to do good. I'm going to bug out.
Great job, Beth.
Look
Good,
forward to
great to
seeing
see everybody.
Oh, good night.
you.
Yeah.
Great job, Beth.
Patty,
Thank
for
you.
joining.
Zach,
Bye, guys.
thank you.
Thanks, Zach. Yeah, Zoomerator. Later, Gator.
Wow.
Good job, Beth. Thank you. And Jen, thank you. I'll send you all the judges' PowerPoints, Beth, shortly. You
Right.
and Jen.
Don't forget to stop the recording. Actually, I
I'm
just
doing that
stopped.
right now.